Live on Riverside. I'm going to fire up live on Facebook on my phone. Three, two, one. Three, two, one. Failed. Check your internet connection. All right. I'll tell you what. Okay. Well, growing pains. So I'm going to pull up, and it shows I'm live on my Facebook account, but it shows it is not public. That is disappointing. Okay, I have fiddled with that for about an hour and a half now, and that sucks. So I cannot get live comments. All right, I will figure that out. I am going to at least talk about what I was going to talk about, and it'll be posted to, I guess, my Facebook, I believe. And maybe it won't. Yes, I think it will. And YouTube. And then I'll figure out the rest, because the plan is to live stream and have participation, and whomever shows up, I'm going to do live assessments and Q&As. And so like yesterday, I had a client from Redondo Beach who I haven't heard from in a while, and she messaged yesterday morning. I didn't have a chance to get to it. I did in the afternoon. She happened to message me some more with more questions, and she had some stuff going on, health and body and so on, and she asked me about supplements, a couple of supplements also. So I was going to call her, and then I thought, oh, I'm about to fire up a live session, so I will just use her as my live assessment. And so I did that, and she couldn't join. She said, oh, I've got a client. She was about to do some work, go to work, and but she had asked for a link, and so I said, well, I will address your question on this live stream, and then you can watch it later. So anyway, the plan is to have people popping in and asking questions, and find someone, select someone to do a live assessment, and then, you know, do some Q&As and so on. And I published the one yesterday, which kind of covered some of the topics that I'm going to be covering, and it's going to be whatever the hell I'm interested in, and all truth and seeking truth and unity, and I'm going to explain more of that later. And I did a little bit yesterday, and the low entropy decision making that I use in just about everything that I do. Okay, saw another video earlier popped up on my YouTube, suggested, and I've been looking at a number of the videos on entropy, and it's interesting and a little mind bending. But today I happen to see another thing. We're seeing stuff about AI all the time. We're also, current events, seeing crazy world events taking place. Man, is it crazy. Enough to make you think, okay, how interested should I be in this? And hey, my microphone was about the same distance away, so I think, Hopefully that picked it up. If not, it'll be louder now or clearer now. Anyway, so AI and the world, and is AI going to be good or bad? And there's various opinions on that, but I'm going to give you mine right now. 3 guys walked into a bar, and each of them said, all right, so all tools can be used for good or bad, right? It's funny, when the automobile was created, invented, electricity, the printing press. It's like, oh, well, why do you need that? Are you lazy? You don't want to walk to the store? You don't want to ride a horse to the store? You don't want to, it's like, all right, how many examples of new inventions or gadgets or devices do we have where it improves our life or makes something easier? And improving our life, it's like, all right, we used to have to hunt and gather every day. We used to have to find food every single day. Would it be better if we didn't? And so the automobile, electricity, and AI, computers, then AI, social media, crazy, good and bad. So the whole idea is figuring out how to limit the bad and accentuate the good. And there was something, it was actually, I had been in Hawaii for about 4 years and came back, re-immersed myself professionally in fitness after not for a long time. Came back and started in Dallas, spent a year there, then Houston for a year, and then it was back to LA, which felt like home at the time, but not anymore. Speaking of crazy, so got a hairball. Not really. I won't hack it up, don't worry. So California, yeah, I don't know if I'll ever be back there. Hawaii, I think, even though during the 2020 to 2022 crazy time, they were a little extreme. I only heard about it. So maybe we'll pick another island. So when I landed back in LA, it was 2017, after the 2 years in Texas. And it was very early on, because I lived in, it's funny, I stayed with a friend for 3 weeks. He's like, yeah, man, come hang with me until you find a place. So I stayed with him for about 3 weeks and then found a place really close. It was right across the street from a park and then the marina. So the ocean was right there, front and center. And then I bounced around to a few other places and then had the studio gym place. But it was 2017 when I remember the moment where I was sitting on my bed and was reading something. And I guess I had some post or a podcast, and it was Elon Musk talking about artificial intelligence and talking about, yeah, we're going to probably have universal basic income, UBI, and it's going to replace a lot of jobs. We're not going to need to work at some point down the line. It's like, let's extrapolate And if we have robots and they cook and clean and do everything, all the mundane tasks that we have, and maybe replace the vast majority of workers, office workers, mechanics, we may get to a point where we don't need to go to work. And then I heard, so I had the thought at the time, I thought about it, it was a little jarring at first. It was like, oh. And so I immediately was in my head, it's like, ooh, wow, is he right? What would we do? And it came to me immediately. It's so obvious. And I heard him, maybe it was a video yesterday. And I heard, anyway, recently, I heard him speaking about this again. And it's a question that often comes up from whomever he's talking to. He gets interviewed all the time, and he said it again. And they made the big point was, the big question is, so where if we don't have to go to work, where are we going to have how are we going to have purpose? Where's the meaning to our lives? What are we going to do? We're not going to have purpose. We get so many people get their purpose from their job, their motivation, the meaning of their, and it's like, no, the meaning of their life now. Maybe they feel like that's their immediate purpose, but it's not really, if you think about it. Think about it. And it is so obvious. So how many people have you heard? I have, because this has been my profession, my career for a long time, sort of two different times, round one and round two. And I have heard so many people when they're talking about getting in shape. Hey, I need you to help me. Hey, can you? And so many people, yeah, I let it go. It's been so many years since I've worked out or since I've eaten healthier, paid attention or whatever it is. And because they're busy, they've got family, they've got their job, their business, they're building, they're creating. I don't have time. I run ragged. I don't sleep enough. How many people don't sleep enough? How many people are so busy that they don't have time to take care of themselves, let alone anybody else? Or they're cutting corners, doing the bare minimum, and all parts of their life get shortchanged. So the obvious answer to what is your purpose going to be if you didn't have a job? The people have literally said it. Yeah, you know what? If I didn't have to work, if I won the lottery, if I made X amount of money, I'm going to finally be able to homeschool my children, go on vacation more often, go to the gym, take care of myself is essentially what they're saying, and others. So the obvious answer is what will we do if AI replaces our jobs and all of the mundane tasks that we have? And the answer is, ding, 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 we will take care of ourselves and each other and do all the things that you think about often if you didn't have to go to work. And how many people have jobs where it doesn't give much meaning to their life, even though it may be their immediate purpose. So AI is a tool, and we should use it. At the point where we have robots doing everything, that's fine. We will be doing so much better, so much more. And that's happened for every major invention that has made our lives easier. All right. Pause. Pardon me. So that's AI, good and bad. Oh, so the other thing that's interesting about Elon's AI, Grok, it happens to be the one that I have used the most because I find it the most truthful. And that's how he designed it. And there's something I saw, in fact, today that was about its, I think it's Bayesian is the name. I forget what it is, but it's the algorithm basically that it uses, or the algorithm that they use is modeled on Bayesian theory, Bayesian design, I forget, to find the greatest truth. And they were even talking about some deep questions. Who was Jesus? And they were going over the answers that Grok had, and it was an analysis of the data, the ancient texts, the Bibles, and it looks like Grok does a really good job of seeking truth, and then not coming up with a definitive answer, but not ruling very much out, saying, okay, we don't know for sure, but the most likely truth is, but it still could be this, that, or the other. I actually asked Grok yesterday about conspiracy theories. And now we know, and we've woken up a lot, but we know that there are conspiracy theories from the past that turned out to be true. So they were, in fact, conspiracies, not conspiracy theories that they scoffed at. It didn't turn out that they were right. We were. The conspiracy theorists were. I do not hesitate to consider a conspiracy theory as possible. It's like, no. What is the easier thing is to rule out something definitely. It's like, well, this is obviously bullshit. Now, I may not have the answer, but I know what's not the answer, so we can stop with that. And so Grok had a list of conspiracy theories of the past that turned out to be accurate. And I said, so do you consider those? Do you learn from that? And he said, yes, whatever. But the thing that AI doesn't have, and Grok doesn't have, and I've had conversations with him about this also, is human intuition and human creativity, and maybe more. But Grok can assess, AI can assess, assess data very quickly, and whatever, 100 times, 1,000,000 times faster than we can. So it would be dumb not to use it for those obvious purposes. But verifying the answers that you get from it in some way, and then not relying on it for other things, even though I may in fact ask, just curious. It's like, I wonder what a pure data analysis would show me based on whatever this question was. And then oftentimes I know what the answer is. It's like, oh, I wonder what he would say about that. And then being able to differentiate, okay, here's my analysis and what I know to be truth, but he doesn't know some key things. So what's he going to come up with? And there are differences. And I will let him know, oh, okay, well, you knew that, so that's why. It's, yeah, so at what point will AI be able to learn at that level, if it will? It may not be able to. There will be limits regardless. So that's sort of the good and the bad of AI, and coming back to the key, taking care of yourself and each other, ourselves and each other. And so that brings me back to, again, fitness, because that's where it landed at first, was people stating, I don't have time to, I don't have much time. It's really difficult. And so if you haven't already heard me say, I have figured out the best of the best ways, and with time, with efficiency and effectiveness included, the lowest entropy solution to get fit, be fit, remain fit, not waste any time, energy, or effort. And then, so there's sort of a baseline. It's like, all right, can you do these things? And that's where I'm not going to present it right now, but the short list is, it's like, okay, if you have minimum time, what do you do? And of the most important things, the Magnificent Seven, thank you to the anchor. What are they? Think right, talk right, eat right, drink right. Those two should really be combined. Sleep right, poop right, eliminate, detox, and move right. So those 7 things, those 7 things are things that we need to do each and every day as much as possible to be healthy and probably happy also. And of those 7 things, I suppose it's debatable, but I will present endless arguments for moving right being the most, if not, I would say important, but however you slice it, the most impactful. The thing that some of all of the others can be affected, but moving right compensates for that. And at least to the degree it doesn't work the other way. If you can get in shape and stay in shape, and here's a simple example. Some people have said, think right. Thinking, mindset is the most important thing. But here's a counterexample. We know there are people who have screwed up gut microbiome. And we know that they affect your mental state. And they have given experimentation, probably double-blind placebo studies. They have given various microbes, bacteria, gut microbes, to people that has literally clinically caused depression. And these are in non-depressed people with no history of clinical depression. So we're going to take these people who've never had clinical depression, we're going to give them some microbes that we know, they know certain things cause certain things, certain states. So we're going to give them some things and see, and within I think they said 3 hours, within 3 hours, these people, after ingesting, they became clinically depressed. And so that's what you eat. That's important too. It can affect your mindset, your energy, everything, lots of things. So mindset, okay. But we can also take a depressed person and they can go for a run and all of a sudden they're not depressed anymore. And there may be some, it's like, okay, well, what if it's clinical depression? There's some level of depression maybe where I doubt that though. I've been in a pretty down mood a number of times over the years and literally just thought, okay, I got to get my ass to the gym, and gone to the gym and then felt amazing. And oftentimes new ideas, new motivations. It's like, the brain starts kicking in, feeling good. So based on that and more, but that alone is enough. Getting in shape, being in shape, staying in shape is the most impactful thing because almost everything else is affected by the process. And then of course, yes, try to eat better. Try to cut out the crap that makes you toxic. There's enough that we're fighting already in our food, in our water, in off the screens, in our environment. And so, yes, do some meditation if you can, do some breathing techniques if you want, if you can, test them, try them, find if there's find the minimal amount of effort that you need to give to whichever method that works for you to improve any of those. And so if we look at the things that cost us almost zero time, energy, effort, money, whatever, hey, can you put your feet on the ground, your bare feet on the ground outside? I actually have, it's a corded, plugs into the wall, into the ground. There's a tester that makes sure you don't fry yourself. But, and it looks for connectivity to ground. And so you get green lights and whatever, and you're like, okay, I'm connected to ground. And then there's some little pads. I put one on my foot and one on my palm, two different cords into the wall, and that's how I sleep. And I've had a grounding mat before for my desk and for my mattress, and so there's technology now. I've had clients who have purchased, not too expensive, but they have lights now, red light and vibration, and pretty cool gadgets, and that's another way to get it. But sleeping, if you sleep roughly however many hours, 8 hours, 6 hours, if you can ground for that length of time, it's great. They say that 30 minutes of walking around outside barefoot, and it varies. It's like, I forget which one is which. It's like, I don't care. I'm just going to make sure I get on grass because it's better. But cement versus concrete, I forget which is which and why, but one of them ends up being grounded, the other doesn't. So depending on the surface you're on, probably even, well, sand. The beach, they say, is grounded. Dirt, obviously the ocean is probably the best because it has salt. That's more conductivity. Maybe that's why I love the ocean. Not really. It's one of the reasons. Unity is why I love the ocean and our natural tendency to seek it. But that's another story. Coming soon. All right. So if you can get into the sun, get some sunshine, and into your eyeballs, on your skin, in your face, in the morning before the UV index is even 1. So it's 0 up until 8, 9, 10 a.m., depending on the time of year. If you can get, again, sunlight into your eyeballs is amazing. It's like, that's a direct connection to your brain. the suprachiasmatic nucleus, I guess, is the stem of your eyeball where it connects to the brain, or yeah. And so sunshine in your eyes. And I've done sun gazing at sunset mostly, probably at sunrise also. But if UV is 0, you can look into the sun, and people have done it from ancient times. I think my max is like 15 minutes at sunset. And it feels amazing, and it does a variety of things. Circadian reset. Melatonin is affected. Sunshine. Yes, don't be afraid of the sun. It doesn't cause cancer, and well, it in and of itself. Ooh, so that will lead me to astaxanthin later, a new discovery, which is amazing. So grounding, sunshine, do some breathing. There's a variety that's easy to find, and meditation. And I will just cover one more little thing about mindset as far as manifesting positive affirmations and so on. The thing that works, the thing that connects you to everything, the thing that causes your brain, heart, body to resonate with everything else, and that's the key, is when you imagine and actually feel. And that's where, and if you're in theta brainwave state, so right before you fall asleep, basically, that's the best time to do it. If you can do that and imagine who you are, who you want to become better at, you're going to decide, I'm already that, but I want to become even better. And so imagining that better you, that better place, whatever it is, and feeling what your state of being at that moment. So that's something that costs you 0. Maybe a little, it might seem like effort at first, but just find your happy place. Be like, okay, this is what, and I think it's cool. So just visit that place. That reminds me of Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx in Collateral with Tom Cruise when he's driving the cab, and the first female lawyer who got into his cab and asked him about his, I think it was him, maybe it was her, or maybe it was Tom Cruise. But he was talking about how much he drives and works, and he's saving up for his fleet of cars, limos, and so somehow it went to getting away on vacation, taking time off, and he said, "Oh, I go on vacation every day for 30 minutes or something," and he flipped his visor down, and it was a picture of, I forget if it was like a tropical beach. I think that's what it was. But it might have been his fleet of cars. No, it couldn't have been. It must have been a tropical place. So he flips it down. It's a pretty picture. He says, I go on vacation all the time, every day, 3 times a day or whatever. It's like, yeah, that's kind of what you do. All right. Back to, does the sun cause cancer? I hadn't planned on this, but just the supplement. So all right, I am not a medical doctor. This is not medical advice, but interesting. This guy, researcher, I forget what his credentials are, background. It was something that he's been doing research I think medical doctor maybe. So astaxanthin, I discovered in Hawaii, and it comes from microalgae, and it's derived from them. It's the chemical, I suppose the chemical molecule, compound, whatever, that prevents them from burning, floating on the surface of the ocean. And so astaxanthin with an X, not a Z. And I have been taking it since then. But when I found out about it first, again, it was in Hawaii. I've always been a sun worshiper and known that the whole sun concern is BS, other than the obvious. Don't fry your skin. Don't do stupid shit. But so I've always been a sun worshiper and known that you don't have to worry about it. And slathering chemicals on your skin and letting the sun bake it in is probably doing DNA damage or whatever. And so actually I have a memory from 1992, NASA days, where I was standing looking at the TV in my living room, and there was something on the news, and these two guys who had written a book about slathering chemicals on your skin and the damage and the crazy talk. All right, so astaxanthin is this stuff derived from microalgae that naturally protects them from frying in the sun, and comes in gel caps. You pop them, and they're inexpensive. And that started working in 2 weeks. I noticed that. So my skin, will burn. If it's white, I have to be careful at first if I haven't tanned in a long time. So low exposure, and then I'll get pretty brown. And however, even when I'm brown, you may have had the experience. You go on vacation, you've already got your tan, you go on vacation to Hawaii or some other part of the world, some tropical place where the sun is more intense, and you still burn. It's like, how? So after taking astaxanthin in Hawaii for 2 weeks, I was careful in the sun, limiting my exposure. And then after 2 weeks, I actually just happened to fall asleep at the pool. And I didn't know, it might have only been a half an hour, but I had been out there, sun on the front, turn over, sun in the back, fall asleep, wake up, oh crap, I might be burned. Went and looked, not a bit. And that was about the 2 week mark. After which I started testing, a little more, and I just got browner. So I knew it was for real, and then had visitors, friends come. One I remember for sure. I've mentioned astaxanthin to a number of people, but one who she started taking it when she visited the first time, and then it was a few months later visited again and had been taking it long enough. I think, again, it probably takes a couple of weeks to kick in and affect you. So it definitely works, not just on me. But here is the bombshell. This guy has a patent on a version of astaxanthin that when they extract it, it comes just with that molecule. Naturally, in the algae, it either has a lipid attached to it, so the astaxanthin molecule and a lipid attached to it, or a sugar molecule. And when they put it through the process to extract it, it is without either of those. cancer cells love sugar. And so astaxanthin, again, one of the two types that they find, it's in everything. I don't know the abundance of each. I'm sure it depends on a number of things. But they experimented with attaching a sugar molecule to the astaxanthin after it had already been extracted. They reattached a sugar molecule to it. And that acts as a Trojan horse to get into cancer cells. That's crazy cool. So astaxanthin by itself, I don't think hardly at all can't get into the cancer cells. It affects it a little bit, but the magic is when it's attached to sugar, because cancer cells consume sugar like crazy. So Trojan horse into the cancer cell, and as soon as that happens, I forget exactly, it immediately changes. It has to do with the oxidant, so free electron, or lack of, I forget, one way or the other, plus or minus. And so it then either takes one or gives one, and the membrane disintegrates. What would be the right word? So I think it changes the pH immediately to where the membrane can't remain the way it is, can't stay intact. And he said it happens very quickly. And yeah, it's not because the cancer isn't adapting to anything. It just literally falls apart or disintegrates. That's astaxanthin. The name of that is Vilasta. I have not tried it yet. I take astaxanthin old school. But I will be taking that stuff. And you can find it, I think, just from the company. I looked on Amazon and looked for other links. Didn't find it. It's pretty pricey. I think it comes in pill or capsule and liquid. I just kind of did a first glance look to see, okay, how available is this, and what's the rough cost, and yeah, can I get it? Where can I get it? And so it's not all over the place yet. I don't know if they're limiting, trying to kind of corner the market, be the only supplier of it or what. But the other thing is, he has a patent on it. The cool, really cool, valid thing is he's got a patent on it. And because of the testing they did, I guess the patent itself is the reason. Because they tested it on cancer cells, and he legally, medically can make the medical claim that it is effective against cancer. So I guess that's it. Astaxanthin with the sugar molecule attached to it, they have a patent on, call it Vilasta, Valasta, and you can find it. And he said they tested with stage 4 people, and within a few weeks or less, there were some he mentioned, I'm sure that varies, but it was an incredibly fast and impressive time frame. Once again, I'm just a guy on the internet letting you know about what I've found out, what I've heard other people talk about. Okay, and moving on. Okay, since I was talking about Hawaii, I will maneuver and we'll still be talking about Hawaii a little bit. So I will be going over case studies, and even in this little story, I'm gonna tell you a little, it's story time. Are you ready for story time? So I mentioned Hawaii, and then coming back to Dallas, Houston, and Redondo Beach, and that has led me to now. And my interests have expanded, but so the fitness stuff, it all comes back to you and how you take care of yourself. So I was in Hawaii for, I don't know, a little while, and working out I lived very close to the ocean. And in a little residential community, basically, they had these spots near the beach where all of the vacation rentals, right? All the big properties with all kinds of apartments and or condos or whatever. And that then they would have hotels nearby also surrounding these little communities. And we would see people coming and going and meet owners of places who use the place once every 3 months or every other month or whatever. And the mailman asked the mailman, yeah, how many permanent residents do you deliver mail to? Yeah, only 5, only 7. And I lived in 2 different places. They were both about the same. Both one of them almost on the ocean, actually, but 30 feet up a bluff. The other one was right next to the gym. Surprise, surprise. I moved close to the gym. And the hotel proper was on the beach. And the gym and tennis courts and other facilities were about, I don't know, a quarter of a mile back. And then my place was over there in a lava field, and you could get to the ocean, but you better be careful with your feet. The director of the gym, the resort gym, saw me doing some stuff on the stability ball, balancing, standing up on, rolling around. And we talked a couple of times, and then he asked me, hey, do you know how to do this stuff? Do you want to teach a class? I was like, oh, yeah, like in the yoga room. He's like, yeah, you could do this, that, and the other. Anyway, so I came up with some ideas and started doing that, and it was really cool. Really cool. My point of view is it was really cool to take, especially elderly people, sometimes gym bros, especially an elderly woman who's maybe frail, even getting older, and beautiful yoga studio, the plants, vegetation, trees, flowers, they would open the doors and open to this big open area that was really cool. You could walk around, but it was just crazy beautiful. But to have these women who normally don't, they think, oh yeah, I don't do weights, that's for guys. And then because it was a stability ball and balance, old people, they saw that, heard that, they were curious. Oh yeah, that might be good. Okay, so that wasn't difficult to convince them to try. But I introduced them to the other stuff with little dumbbells, and that was very cool. And then using the stability ball as a bench, sit on, lean back on, in a variety of ways, and cool and effective. So I started doing that, and then personal training. I'm gonna rev up the story. Got to go. Do you have an Apple Watch that tells you your steps or your calories burned today yet? I don't, and I'll rag on it later, make fun of it. Okay. So, personal training, the director, his words, he's like, yeah, you know a lot more about what you're doing and what they need than our handful of trainers. He's like, why don't you get, I had a certification from way back, and I forget whether it needed to be a more current something or what it was, but he basically said, hey, why don't you, and so I did, and that led to the physical therapy related stuff. But the first people that I encountered as clients then, they marketed me differently, was people who had problems. And knees were the first thing I encountered almost exclusively, and that was odd to me. I was like, all right, does somebody want me to help people with knees first, or learn about knees first, become an expert in knees first? I was sort of an expert at lumbar issues because of my own, and had figured out how to treat that, make it better, rehab it. I didn't get those. I got knees, and I understood knees pretty well and had worked with somebody with knee surgery before, long time before that, and intuitively what I thought was good and was correct. But so I encountered knees, and I'll give you one quick case study. 66-year-old woman who was going to sell her house. She had 2 levels, walked up some stairs, beautiful place. And she was telling me, yeah, I'm bummed. I'm going to have to move. I'm going to have to sell my house. I can't. My knees are getting bad. They told me I need double knee replacement surgery within the next 5 years for sure, but I should probably do it sooner than later. And they were either sore or painful, and depending on what she did, but didn't take much, and stairs was one, but she got up and down the stairs. Anyway, the first time she went to the gym with me, we found out that, yeah, we can do something about this. And within a couple of weeks, we knew that she wasn't going to need surgery. And then it was 2 months, and she was doing all kinds of stuff, and it was probably 6 months before she said, I feel I can do everything that I did when I was 20. So that's the method, and that's cool. And that was knees. So lots of knees, and then it went to this and that. I remember a shoulder, elbow, wrist, little things, aches and pains. Shoulders is kind of a big one because of the rotator cuff, right? So many things. The shoulder joint is involved in so many different movements. And then when I landed in Dallas, I ended up figuring out glutes and adhesions. I will talk about adhesions soon for a couple different reasons. I'm going to record something on adhesions and fixing those, but I especially discovered the important stuff about adhesions. I guess they popped up. They popped up in glutes first, where it was something that I had to overcome. And it was also at the time, I think I had, within a very short period of time, maybe a little overlap, maybe 5 people who had this issue, where their hips, their squatting movement was affected, and they could not squat very deep at all, and there was tightness and pain and discomfort. And I had tried a bunch of different things. And again, I will fill in details next time, another time. But it was adhesions, and I figured out how to alleviate that condition and fix that. Adhesions, squatting, glutes, and so the important thing, I guess, is, or the reason I'm the reason I'm talking about this, the various parts of the body that I learned about, figured out, and found ways to make a difference with these people and getting their bodies to move right and for them to feel like they're doing things right. Feeling like you're doing things right, knowing, being able to connect brain to body and know yourself that, yeah, I'm doing it right. And I know personally, I've done things, my rear delts, right? The rear delt was the last part of my body that I had complete control over. And it was painstaking, the process of getting it to work. And the reason is because I had neuromuscular pathways that were etched in, that were strong and not correct. And that's the problem. That's one of the major limiting factors for going to the gym and feeling good and knowing that what you're doing is the right thing. And a lot of people go to the gym and do the movement, but they get maybe, I don't know, maybe 50%, 60% of the result, maybe not even that. And so connecting and the neuromuscular pathways being the limiting factor and overcoming that. And old injuries, movement patterns that are screwed up, neuromuscular pathways, and adhesions. That's actually a big one. It comes up a lot, more often than I imagined it would. At some point, I thought, yeah, almost every time we have something that's screwy, we find out that it's an old injury, and it's an adhesion. It's like, yeah, it's not a whatever other problem could be. Turns out an injured tissue to some degree, and it's almost always in the form of this collagen matrix that forms around that tissue. And it can be a muscle knot, it can be scar tissue, and it can be something that you don't really know, can't really feel. It's like, oh, that's there? I didn't even know, because this was a recent woman who was picking up her suitcase, and it was her bicep down near the elbow. It's like tennis elbow, it wasn't tennis elbow, it was like something right down near the joint. And that's where the pain was that she felt. That was the acute issue. But she didn't have an adhesion there. And I just looked for an adhesion. It's like, okay, you don't feel an adhesion feels like you jump and it's tender and sensitive and painful, but it's the tenderness and sensitivity almost where you might not always jump, but when you hit it, if they jump, you know, it's like, that's it. If they can't hold still, and again, it's not just pure pain. And sometimes it's not pain, it's just that tenderness and sensitivity. So looking for that is one of the keys. It's almost always that. And I looked and found a spot on her triceps, just palpating around. It's like, okay, let's just explore a little bit. And all of a sudden, 30 seconds in, she jumps. It's like, that might be it. And spent a couple of minutes and did a couple of little quick movements, and Shazam, it was better. Test it, pick up your whatever. Do whatever you need to do to make sure that, yep, that's it. So adhesions are a big thing, and I have the magic. And that leads us to other related neuromuscular pathways being screwed up, not being able to connect and know that you're doing it right. The Philly boys, cutting to the chase. The Philly boys, 4 guys, and very cool. They went to one of my classes in Dallas, and they were joking and laughing at themselves. Basically, it's like, yeah, we can't even do whatever. We're strong and we can do whatever. But so then they started training with me for months and months, and at one point, so very, very right off the bat, assessing each of them the same way I start with anybody, beginner, injured person, whatever. It's like, no, we're just going to go down the list and check the boxes off. Can you move this way? Can you move that way? Do you feel this? And so on. And if it's a super athlete and they're super healthy and there's nothing wrong that's hiding that they don't know about, it's like, no, we just check the boxes. It takes, 10 seconds. Try this, show me this, show me this. And that's that. But usually what comes up is something that's off. And that was corrected. It's usually corrected very quickly in athletes, strong, healthy people. But there's usually something that's screwed up that they may not even understand or know about. And so the ringleader of the Philly boys, we had gone through a session one day, and I guess it was we were doing a back exercise, and I think we were doing lat pull downs with the machine because they weren't moving correctly, and it was the beginning of that process. But he says, can you do a wide grip chin, like a real one, like a good one, like strict? I'm like, yeah. He's like, show me. I just looked at him. Really? I did that and did some variety of movements to show him the control that we're looking for. But he said, I can't even do that. My body won't move that way. And that was the problem. And so that's why, in that case, that's why this movement, shoulder rotation, scapular retraction, that control, that's why that is fundamental. It's the most difficult thing for humans to do. And that's from the beginning, we start to modify, edit, fix the neuromuscular pathways. I've found a few people, maybe 2, who right off the bat, they not athletes either. Right off the bat, they could move, maybe because they weren't athletes. I'm not sure. They hadn't trained the wrong way, but usually people can't do 100% movement with the right control. I have had a couple, and some of the strongest guys who have big, thick chunks of meat up here, traps, they have limitation because their traps are trained to do everything, try to control, try to join in, and we have to detrain or untrain them, teach them to stay the hell out of that movement, and that's a process. But so that's some of the most muscular athletic people have the most difficulty with that. But it is you can fix it, you can change it. And so for the Philly boys, for the ringleader, pull-ups is a great example of somebody who's strong, healthy, fit, but there was a basic movement pattern that his body just did not know how to do, no matter what he tried, until we fixed the very foundational movement responsible for the whole pattern. All right. That is, in a nutshell, that's how I stumbled upon the adhesion thing. The rest of it was a very analytical process. And so it led me to a unique assessment protocol that gets people, I had mentioned, from start to finish, about the effective, efficient process. And so for those who don't have time, really high up on the list, if not number one. Maybe after, it's part of, that's debatable. If you want to debate it, we'll debate it. We can discuss that more later. It's like, okay, we're not going to be silly, but when we think about things that we do to make ourselves healthy and functional, moving right, I just call it the gym. It's like, get your ass to the gym. But whatever. Doing it at home, doing it on the beach, calisthenics, whatever. And if somebody says, you know what, I love yoga and or whatever, it's like, okay, that's great. So keep doing that. But you should learn a few things, maybe 5 very basic things that you're not getting probably in any of those, or maybe learn how to modify some of that. And anyway, foundational stuff. And moving right is priority 1. And that's all for today. And I have, speaking of the anchor, he's going to be, I'm going to be picking him up at the airport tomorrow, and we're going to head to the gym, and that's going to be fun. Speaking of adhesions. Surgeries. So I'm looking forward to that. So I probably, I might fire this live up tomorrow before I go. How's that sound? I'm picking him up at 3 something. We'll see if I can figure out Facebook Live and comments and YouTube and make it more fun for everybody. Until then. All right. That's it. Out. Aloha.